a selection show, pretty much the NBA's all-star selection show. Woohoo, MLB wants to be like NBA. Can we stop that? MLB is loved and adored by so many people around the world for being MLB. I'm gonna need a drink of water for today's video because, wow, there's some drama. What's going on, guys? It's Fuzzy. Welcome back to yet another Major League Baseball video, and I cannot tell you the number of DMs that I received yesterday telling me to cover this. I was out hiking. I don't really get much fresh air anymore, so I was out enjoying nature, and of course, as soon as I decide to step foot outside, there's a major rule change that could be coming to playoff baseball, and everyone hates it. If you guys don't believe me, Trevor Bauer, I'm actually rocking his merch right now. If Trevor sees this, come back to Cleveland. I miss you, man. Love you. I'll see you in a couple weeks. Trevor said, no idea who made this new playoff format proposal, but Rob is responsible for releasing it. So I'll direct this to you, Rob Manfred. Your proposal is absurd for too many reasons to type on Twitter and proves you have absolutely no clue about baseball. You're a joke. Currently, as it stands, I'm recording this the night before, he is nearing 25,000 likes. And just to put that into perspective, when Jeff Passan told the world that Mookie Betts was getting traded, he got about 30,000 likes in almost 24 hours. So this is exploding right now. But he's not the only baseball player to speak out against this. Didi Gregorius, the brand new Phillies shortstop, he came out and said, why are we changing this lovable sport so much? So if you guys have no idea what I'm talking about, there was a new proposal. I'm gonna go ahead and green screen myself today because we're gonna go ahead and break this down right now. And the only favor I have for you guys is please go into this video with an open mind. If you already have an opinion, it's null and void, it's done. We're gonna break every single bullet point down and see if there's still some good in this clown of an idea, because that's the first thing we have to say. This entire idea, it would never happen. I don't think that in 2022 or 2021, this will not come to fruition. So I hope that you guys are not tripping. I hope that you guys aren't going crazy. This is most likely not going to happen because they're trying to make it about the fans. It's about that cheese. It's about protecting their chicken. They're trying to get as much money as they can. But let's go ahead and address the situation right now. There's brand new playoff rules coming. I'm putting this in quotations because the first sentence of this article says, last month, floating around the idea, Major League Baseball was, of an expanded postseason format. Do you guys understand what the word floating means? You're all really smart. You all have huge brains. You guys understand the game of baseball as well as grammar. Floating does not mean that it is coming to Major League Baseball. So I hope that you guys know this is one of the worst ideas that I've ever seen, but luckily it is not set in stone. And we have guys like Trevor and Didi Gregorius to make sure that Robert Manfred and the baseball community knows that not only do we fans disagree, but Major League Baseball players as well. So let's go ahead and get to the meat and potatoes of today's video. Let's see what exactly would be changing if this happened tomorrow. So if you guys don't know, pretty much the Robert Manfred of the Players Association, he's pretty much the commissioner of the MLBPA. Tony Clark, a couple days ago, came out and said, expanding the playoffs in a sensible way is something worth discussing when part of a much more comprehensive conversation about the current state of our game. So pretty much what he is saying is that if baseball wants to get bigger, something that I have been preaching for the last couple weeks, ESPN does not think baseball is relevant enough to even have on their main tab of their website anymore. That's a different conversation for a different day. But baseball is quickly becoming the third most popular sport in America, and some would even argue that UFC is more exciting than baseball. Yes, I had that conversation on Twitter, but I would say it's probably NFL and NBA as the top two dogs, then baseball with UFC, and then people who are in Mexico have said that soccer dominates their country. So really, baseball is on the back burner of everyone's mind, and they're trying to get more teams to be involved in the playoffs and be more competitive using this right here. The league's presentation included these ideas. 7 teams in each league will make the playoffs, up from the current 5. So I have a little tab over here. I came prepared. I did my research. As you guys can see, the Rays, A's, Yankees, Twins, and Astros. That is 5 for the American League. And then if we go on over to the National League, we have the blah, 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 5 teams. So collectively, there was 10 teams that made the playoffs last year. And the biggest thing about it is this guy right here. Whose idea was it to have a one-game wildcard series? I know that a lot of you guys think it's very exciting, but the fact that the A's had an amazing 2019 and their fate was decided by one game, that is one of the worst ideas that I've ever heard in my entire life. The wildcard games are replaced with a best-of-3 wildcard series, so perfect. Even if the wild card doesn't go away, I think changing it to a best of 3 wild card series would be peace day resistance. I think everyone can get behind that. Again, I understand the race to the wild card is very important and a lot of fun for people to track throughout the season. But the fact that once you get there, you play 90-something games, you win 95 to 96 games, and then you don't make it because of this, a one game, I mean, think about this. In 2017, let's say that the Astros were a wildcard team and they were playing at home. They're banging on trash cans, dog. And that decided the one game that they were given against, maybe it was the A's, maybe it was the Indians in 2000. I mean, this is all a fantasy argument, but I'm just saying, a one-game wildcard series is not the way to go. So this is part of this whole proposition that I absolutely love. Now we're going to get into the part where I don't understand truly what was going through the brains of the people that put this together. This is where I have to agree with Trevor Bauer and Didi Gregorius. What are you doing? So again, like I mentioned, we're going to get into the clown details now. So playoff teams are seeded first by division winners and then teams with the next 4 highest win totals. So it's 1, 2, and then there's 4 wildcard teams. So the number 1 team will get a first round bye. Okay, so let's say the Yankees are first place in the American League in 2020. They get a bye. They don't have to play. They're pretty much going to be the Patriots of the last couple of seasons who always get a bye. They play in the second round of the playoffs. So on Sunday night, after teams play the last game of the regular season, a selection show, pretty much the NBA's all-star selection show. Woohoo, MLB wants to be like NBA. Can we stop that? MLB is loved and adored by so many people around the world for being MLB. Let's not copy NBA right now. So pretty much in this selection show, it would take the number 2 seed. Let's say the number 2 seed is let's say the Toronto Blue Jays. Let's give them some props because we know they're not going to make the playoffs. The number 2 team chooses which team it wants to play among the bottom 3 seeds. So they get to choose between 5, 6, and 7. The number 3 seed then makes its choice. So then the number 2 will pick, number 3 gets to make its choice, and then 4 is whoever is the remaining club. So 2 would choose 6, 3 would choose 7, and then 4 would play number 5. That's how it would work. The higher seed will host all 3 games in that round. So again, the idea of 3 games is perfect and awesome. Please go ahead and implement that as soon as possible, ASAP. I love the 3-game series, even in the wild card spot. I got a little bit carried away and I might have cussed when I read off the fact that opponents will be able to choose their teams, but this was my reaction after I calmed down.
What you just said is one of the most insanely idiotic things I have ever heard. At no point in your rambling, incoherent response were you even close to anything that could be considered a rational thought.
What is that? Whose idea was that? I seriously want that. So like the guy that didn't vote for Derek Jeter, I feel like he should come out and put his face to not voting for Derek Jeter. And same with the dude or the woman or whoever decided to use this and think that it was a good idea to put this out to the masses. And Trevor Bauer has a point by saying, sure, it wasn't Robert Manfred who came up with this, but he is probably the one that could have stopped this from getting out into the open and allowing us to critique this. Like, can we just process what is happening the last couple months in baseball? Like, the Astros are cheaters. Trades, Mookie Betts is a superstar player. He gets traded, then a physical is failed, and then he's not traded, and then he's traded again. You have players' livelihoods at stake, and now you have this along with a 3-batter minimum. I mean, what are we doing, Major League Baseball? I mean, at this point right now, I might put my YouTube career on hold, and I will drop everything that I'm doing to come run Major League Baseball. I think that I have some pretty lofty ideas. For whatever reason, you guys seem to like my rant videos, and really all that my rant videos are is me just providing you guys with my passion and insight on rule changes or things that should or should not happen with Major League Baseball. So my final synopsis, because really everything down here is really null and void. It does not really matter. Again, there's 7 teams instead of 5. I actually don't really mind that. A lot of people say that if you don't make the playoffs, it's because you didn't deserve it. Kind of like the ball don't lie situation, where let's say that you're supposed to strike out on a ball on the corner of the plate. The ump says ball, and then you strike out on the next pitch. Ball don't lie. If you're supposed to make the playoffs, you're going to make the playoffs. So let's go back to 2019. Here's why I would like this as an Indians fan. So the Yankees, the number 2 seed, would announce who they would want to play among Tampa Bay, Cleveland, and Boston. There's a massive fan base in Boston. Cleveland, not so much. Tampa Bay, not so much. So you have fans that are itching to watch their team in the playoffs, and if you expand it to 7 teams, you actually have that. Now, again, they're trying to say it's for the fans, which I guess does make sense because Boston Red Sox fans will get to see Alex Verdugo perform in the playoffs, possibly make the World Series against Mookie Betts just because they were the 7th team and they made the playoffs. The Yankees are going to be stupid good, but I think the Red Sox are going to be that great to where if they're a top 7 team, they would be in the playoffs according to this playoff format. And I don't think that is the worst thing in the world. If we look at the playoffs in the NBA, I think 8 teams make the playoffs. Same with the NFL, a good amount of teams make it, and I just don't understand why. First of all, it comes down to a 1-game wild card game. Why? I think the Athletics were a really good team and they deserve to have 2 more games after that to at least try and win a best of 3. What's wrong with that? So I want you guys to let me know in the comment section down below. Are you on board with this or are you not? Because if I'm being completely honest with you guys, I was out all day. I reacted to this live. I didn't look at any opinions. I didn't look at any videos. I just looked at Trevor Bauer and Didi Gregorius. They said that they don't like this. But honestly, if you take out being able to choose your own opponent, why is this so bad? Maybe I could be a millennial who doesn't understand the history of baseball and not changing it, but I truly think that the Indians had a great 2019. I think that a lot of National League teams had a great 2019 as well. The Brewers were a great team. They were beat in a 1-game playoff series with the Nationals because of an error in right field. You're telling me that every single game before that, 162 of 162, was completely null and void because Trent Grisham slipped on the grass in right field? You want to tell me that that is something that I would want to stand behind? I don't like the 1-game wild card game. So if anything, if you could strip this down to the bare bones and really cherry pick what you wanted for a new playoff format, I would say, or at least I would assume that you guys would want to see a 3-game wild card series. I have a feeling that Major League Baseball is going to expand, maybe to Las Vegas, maybe to a different part of the United States. But if we had 2 more teams in the next couple seasons, this would be awesome. You would have 7 teams making the playoffs, which means that, hey, Angels fans, if you win 93 games and miss the wild card by 1 single game, you still might have a chance of making the playoffs and giving us what we want. Mike Trout in the playoffs. That man has 7 playoff at-bats. 7. No. That should not be acceptable. And the fact that the Angels owner Art Moreno just negated and reneged that trade for Jock Peterson, shame on you. Shame on you. So at least with that god-awful pitching staff, that lineup can potentially get the Angels to a 7th spot in the American League and maybe give them a push in the playoffs. So that's my opinion. Everyone is getting so caught up on the fact that it is going to be a selection show. I don't want it to be the NBA either, but maybe the biggest issue is Major League Baseball and them not promoting the game as well as they should, because I think that players should be more involved in commercials and game shows and reality TV shows, and I think that Major League Baseball can do a much better job at marketing their great game, but this will not do it in terms of the selection show. However, a 3-game wildcard series and potentially adding more teams to get their fan base involved and excited for the playoffs as opposed to saying, I don't really care, my team's not in it. I think that this also gives more competitiveness to an owner. So if you're capable of making a 7th or 6th seed as opposed to trying to compete with the Yankees, the Red Sox in your own division, that probably has to get a little bit demoralizing. So let me know what you guys think in the comment section down below. A lot to agree and disagree with and maybe find a middle ground in this video. It's just, yeah, I mean, I understand that people don't want baseball to change, but I just think that when you get complacent and choose not to change and you think that everything's fine, even though attendance is going down, maybe there's something that we can do, and I think that this is a great first step. Open the conversation. It's not completely cemented and firm in place. There's some wiggle room, and that's it. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. What a great video. I love ranting. Peace out.